Good evening, everybody. This is Don Limited here. Today is the last day of the month of October, and believe it or not, we've actually had snow. I think there's up to 3 inches out there today. And then Tuesday, it snowed, but just flurries. This is just rather unusual for this time of year. I haven't even gotten the Christmas stuff out yet. But that'll be coming within the next couple of weeks, of course. But yes, I know I haven't been making many videos, period. But due to certain circumstances with YouTube, I kind of have not had the motivation to make videos. And some of the video files I did over summer got corrupted. And I don't have some of the merchandise here anymore. So it's kind of hard to make stuff when you don't have stuff to make it with. So I'll kind of give you an update on what's going on. Things are kind of picking back up here, business-wise. More cash flow is starting to come, so we can actually start to do more around here. I'd like to get some more models available. This is one that a customer brought in. Believe it or not, I actually had one from... I had one, a HP Compaq Pro 6000. This one was only the Pentium processor. I had the Core Dual Tool, or Core Dual 2, or however that's pronounced. So the customer brought it in, complaining that it was slow. I have not tested the audio out on either side. So basically, what's going to happen here is a lot of stuff I did off camera because I didn't want to show any private information. So basically, we're going to kind of do an overview of this computer. But it's not going to be all in one night because I don't have a DisplayPort adapter here. I have that over in my other office just across town. So I don't feel like driving over there tonight to get it. So we're just gonna kind of... This is a very typical system for time. It's a 2000, I think it's a 2009 or 2010 model year. Actually, it's not a bad computer. Once I cleaned up everything on there, it was fine. It's Windows 7 Pro. It's got 8 gigs of RAM currently installed in there. Originally, when they manufactured these, they put typical amount of 4 gigs. So it's got a 160 gig drive. It does not have a graphics card on there, but the Ethernet port on there, or the original one, was not functioning. So that somebody down the line put a secondary card in. I think it's just a PCI card, nothing fancy. These are workhorses of computers. These are actually some of the better of a lot of those that are coming out now. They only last a few years. But for being a 10-year-old computer, I gotta give HP credit for this because these are actually some of the best darn machines that they've ever came out with. And you're thinking Pentium, but the mindset that you gotta get in was back in 2009 and 2010. They didn't have ice. Not everybody had i7s at that time. But a lot of it was... They wanted a small business machine that had a lot of power for doing your typical everyday, day-to-day business, like in an office setting, like documents, and even your schools had. Even when I went to school, they had those. I thought they were kind of crappy then, but I just kind of took everything for granted back then. But basically, I had a lot of experience working on these. when I was a few years ago, when I had a lot of them coming in and going. They're easy to work on. You can, what the heck, we'll show what. Step on. Get this out of the way. Yeah, we did some minor projects here in the office. We got our channeling up now. So that's a big improvement. Yeah, that camera again. I have no idea why it does that. Unfortunately, that channeling I bought, I got that at Lowe's, and I didn't realize it. But when you want to take it off, you have to slide it all the way off. I don't like that. So when I got it back here, I didn't realize that, and I was thinking, oh man. Once I put it up there, I realized, how am I going to get it off if I put it next to each other? So I had to do it like that. It looks terrible. But at Menards, they got this style. Basically, you got a plastic hinge. Not to get off topic here, but and you just open it up, so put your cord and wires, whatever the heck you want to put in there, and it looks a lot neater and tidier. So enough about that. We'll get back to this computer. Get the stereo receiver out of the way. And of course, so get this stuff out of the way. So this is typically what the inside of it looks like. This is your CD-ROM. You can easily get out. And this is the power supply. So that's really cool features. That's what I like about them. And if you want to put an expansion card in, pop that in, take one of those slots out, put one of those card that you desire to put in, put your plug and play drivers, and away you go. And no, we're not going to test every function of this system. But unfortunately, actually, let's take a look at the cover here. 2010. So it's a 9-year-old system going on 10 years. Not bad. So we'll take a look at the back side. There are other videos out there of it, but I don't get too many of these coming through all that often. So typically here you get your 120 volt AC coming in, 110 amps. So that's pretty typical. And then you get your 1.8 inch audio out, which is typically standard. It's not the greatest, but it's not meant for gaming or multi. But actually, if you play like Windows XP games on these computers, or old train simulators from 10, 15 years ago, graphics aren't too bad. So what's really cool about these computers are, you're thinking, blah, business machines, blah. But actually, this one has a lot of security options. You can disable all the USB ports, front, back. You can disable any of the ports on there. So that's really cool. And most home computers, you don't have the option of putting a padlock on there. and keeping people from tampering with it. And yes, some of them you can also put a screw in there. So basically, you got your typical 4US 2.0 ports in the front, and you got 62 USB points on the back, 10100 gigabit network controller. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. You plug a cable in there and it doesn't even recognize anything, so I kind of gave up on that. But the secondary one was put in, and it seems to be working just fine. You have your display port, which is really cool because you can actually have a dual. You don't have to buy any special hardware to make this work. My office computer on the other side of town I got an HP Elite 8300, and that's the same configuration. So you can, but of course in BIOS you have to go in there and enable multiple display, because that's a security thing there's actually quite a bit of security stuff you can do to secure these computers. Typically you can put a password in the BIOS, so only your administrator can go into the BIOS and change stuff. You also have virtualization, so you can run virtual machines on here. So you run like a program called VMware. You can run VirtualBox, whatever you want to do, but when you're doing that, make sure you got enough RAM installed, because if you don't have enough RAM and you run your guest operating systems at the same amount of RAM, your computer is going to slow down and it could potentially crash. So just be careful that maximum gigs on here that it'll support 16 gigs. I've never actually done the full 16. I went up to 12 gigs. This machine over here is 14 gigs, but we're not really here to talk about this machine. Basically, it's about 2 years newer than this machine. So we'll get back to it. So you can have two monitors. You have one with DisplayPort and one with VGA. Then you get your typical PS2 ports. And the typical BIOS on here is not really that fancy. It's kind of blah. But we'll do a reset, and we're not going to demonstrate every security function. I'm just going to kind of show you what everything looks like, just to kind of give you an idea. And unfortunately my camera's misbehaving like usual. Oh, come on. Quit pulling crap. Oh, that's better. Sometimes you gotta flick the camera in a certain spot and it'll stop making goofy noises. Unfortunately, it ruins the audio. That's what you get for buying cameras at garage sales. Oh crap. I wasn't actually paying attention here. I'm sorry. I'll try that again. So that's what the BIOS looks like. Typical for pretty basic. So this is a compaq Pro 6000. Small form factor. It's a Pentium dual core CPU, E6700 clocked at 3.2 gigahertz. Processor speed is between 3200 and 66 megahertz. I should have got the tripod out for this. So this is the current BIOS version that's installed in this machine. So you can also, when I was in high school, I actually, when they had these computers, I was on a work assignment. It's not really great, but it was more some oddball program I was doing. But they had me going around replicating and flashing the system ROM. So what's really cool is you make a flash drive up with the BIOS, and you can go in here. You can replicate it, and then flash is actually you copy the BIOS. Yeah, I think it's been a long time since I've actually done this. So replicate is you just. I better look this up before I tell you something that's legitimately stupid. So I will get back to you on that. So that's what that menu looks like. You got your typical device configuration, so you can flip things around. We're not going to do that. Storage option. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to do any DPS self-test. Boot order. Typical. We'll go to security. So this is where it gets interesting from here. You can set a password, power on password. We'll look at device security. So you can lock any, you can disable any of those that you'd like. We'll go USB security. So all these here, you can enable, disable. If you want to disable one or two, you can. You want to screw with somebody, you can do that. But it's not a nice thing to do. So that, for an older system, you actually got a lot of security options. You can also disable the PCI, PCIe, PCIX, or all those slots. You can disable, or PCI slots, and so that's actually a rather interesting option. Even though a lot of people are never gonna. You can also enable the network service boot or disable it. So if you're running a network where you can do imaging, that's a very nice feature to have. System ID. Basically what happened, what the reason they have a system ID on there is, well, the asset tag. Okay, I'm trying to think what. So if you gotta get a different motherboard, because back when, I don't know if HP does this anymore, but when they had the 4-year support plan that you got through your dealer that you bought them from, and you had a bad motherboard in one, they come out on site, install a new motherboard in the case, and then they would have to program a number into it because the serial number on the case would not match up with the new board, so they had to, and if they didn't do it right, the board was screwed up and it didn't match the product key. So we're not gonna do anything with that because this is not my machine to. So this is, you can also do, you can enable stuff, you can disable lights, you can enable. But we're, now on this machine I don't think it'll, no, it doesn't work quite like that. Now I have a Z200 workstation, same BIOS setup, and you can actually crank the fan up, lower the fan, whatever the heck you want to do. So go to advanced. You got your power on option. You got your executive memory test BIOS power on. Oops, sorry about that. Onboard devices. PCI, bus options, management operations. So this is where you can enable and disable certain items. So we're going to get out of here and boot back into Windows. So we'll launch it normal. So what you have to remember is we're not going to do an entire full-blown review on this machine. I'm not going to install any radical programs or games on here to test. You're just going to have to take my word for it that older Windows XP games and basic games like that work brilliantly. This was never really meant a game. It was more strictly business and education school, colleges, office complexes, you name it. That was what it was really built for. I just wish that it had the original HP OEM operating system on there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to demonstrate. We're going to use it as you would a regular computer. So it is kind of slow. The response time is not as fast as you'd like it to be. Because by now that program should have came up. It's not that heavy use of heavy duty of a program. And come on. There we go. No, it's taking me to the internet instead. That's not what I wanted to do. Well, why is my camera zooming in? There we go. Alright, let's get out of here. That's not where I wanted to go. Alright, there's something wrong with the program then. Because this shouldn't take that freaking long to... Oh, come on. Finally. In 4 seconds. That's not a very good track record. So, fortunately, it's kind of slow. So this is typically how long it would take to... Now, when these machines were new, a lot of them were just only using Windows. That was a Windows 7 machine, wasn't it? Yeah. Typically, when these came out, a lot of people were still using XP at the time. So, XP was perfect on here. Vista, I never had much faith in it. So, well, I guess we're waiting on. So typically, okay, this is just not very productive. Alright, let's try that again. Seems like the computer locks out. Let's try that again. So that kind of tells me the response time here just kind of proves that it's slowing down. I went through and did a lot of maintenance to it, but it doesn't seem... Maybe the hard drive is wearing out. Sometimes when they start dying, you see a lot of weird things with the computer. So, get out of here. We're going to discard that because it's not important. So go online and typically do what you would do online. Yeah. I've I've been going since 7 this morning, 6. And it's almost 11 already. Come on, any day now. So, typically, we'll test the YouTube video. I know this is not a very great video, but it's not really my computer to do a lot of testing on. It's kind of lagging a bit. Can't really hear it. Okay. I can't find anything like this. I gotta go back to this. Come on. Why can't I ever find it? There. Adjust sound volume. Yeah, there's definitely something going on with the computer, because he said that the speaker was working, and it was working the other day when I was using it, and now it doesn't seem to be working. I don't understand that. So that tells me that I'm going to have to further investigate that. Well, I'm sorry that we could not make a full review on this computer and actually show some of the stuff I was doing, but due to there's a lot of private stuff on here, we could not do that. So I'm showing you what I can, and thank you as always for watching, and you all have a happy Halloween. Well, it's only an hour and a half before it's over. Basically, it's All Hallows Eve, and if some of you out there are Catholic, or some of you I'm sure go to church services on those nights. So we'll see you next time.